Welcome to part one of the build of Sam's workshop. Whether this be the new workshop of Green Acre Homestead or the new home of Samcraft, it all starts here. Step one of this workshop build is the foundation. Now, I'm going to be building this as if it was a storage shed off of a commercial lot that they came and plopped and dropped here on the property. I'm just going to be building it here on the property instead of somewhere else. The reason I'm doing a building structure such as that is I want to have the option, should we ever decide to move this, change it, or I don't know, sell it and upgrade, I don't know. We have that option to do that in the future, as opposed to building a permanent fixed structure to the ground that kind of locks us in and, well, you have no choice at that point. Probably the number one reason I'm going that way is because my current workshop is fixed, locked in, can't go anywhere, and I don't want to repeat that mistake. So we've roughly got our capstone blocks laid out here on the ground, roughly have the 10-foot long 4x4s laid out in their skids. Now is the fun part of going through, digging down, leveling everything, and getting ourselves a firm, level base foundation to then build everything on top of. I hate foundation work. How I'm going about doing this foundation is to lay out one line and to be very picky on that first. I spend a lot of time on this front edge, this front skid, making sure it is level, it is exactly angled the way I want the whole building to face, because that's going to be the runner point or the skid that I measure everything else off of. Once I had that leveled out and in line exactly like I wanted, I then used my tape measure and measured the rest of the skids off of it. I knew that my spacing for my particular building is 3 foot 3 inches from center to center on the skids. So I just measured it, eyeballed where the blocks were to go. Then I could cut out the soil around the block, giving a lot of room, about 1.5 inches perimeter wiggle room to make sure I can move them around. And that is how I went about laying out everything. As far as how to dig a hole, I don't have a lot of tips on how to dig a hole, except I did finally find a style or a pattern that works for me with our soil type and just what I'm doing right now. What I did is I scored around the perimeter of the block, and then I stabbed my spade in about 3 to 4 inches into the ground. That gave me a rectangle cut into the soil. After that, I went ahead and chopped up that rectangle into about 4 bricks, and then I removed the bricks one at a time. That made a pretty clean removal of the sod and the topsoil, as well as made it manageable sizes for me to be able to toss or throw or at least carry to another area, and it seemed to work okay for me. It's pretty efficient as far as what I'm able to do, so I don't know, maybe it'll work for you. I purchased all of the 4x8x16 solid concrete blocks, also called capstones. I purchased those myself for this project, but the larger blocks, the traditional 8x8x16 blocks, I am actually repurposing from our garden at our current homestead. We figure, why not? We're going to have to eventually bring stuff over. Might as well tear up a little bit of raised bed gardens that are, well, dormant and dead right now this time of year anyway, and save myself about $3.50 a piece. At least I think that's what the price are currently, and repurpose some material. So, just a little explanation of why those larger blocks look really dirty, cruddy, and old. It's because they're dirty, cruddy, and old. By far the most tedious part of this whole project is doing this foundation. Thankfully though, with the design of building I am constructing and my foundation style, I don't have to be dead on within 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch on everything. That is really beneficial because this style foundation, digging 20 footers of sorts, plus blocks and leveling and spacing, can be extremely difficult to do with one person. The reason my foundation doesn't have to be dead on is that my floor is going to be on top of it, and my skids are not designed to end with the outside perimeter or the ends of the building. The skids, as they are right now, are a little bit longer than the building, so I'll be able to trim them to fit at the end. And then as far as the width, the building floor is actually going to overhang the widest part of the skids by about 1 foot on each side. That way it gives me a little bit of wiggle room. If it's not perfectly parallel or perpendicular or whatever P word for geometry you want to use, it's going to be okay. Everything will be solid, secure, perfectly fine in the end, and you're never really going to notice. The only time we're going to see this is out of sorts or wonky is right now as I'm building it and as we construct it. Once it's all covered up, no one will ever know. Now, I use the phrase no one will ever know in the sense of it's still going to be structurally sound, it's still going to be solid, there's not going to be any corners cut. I'm just saying that if it's off a ½ inch here or there, you shouldn't see it in the end. Notice how I'm backpedaling. I go from no one will ever know to you shouldn't see it in the end. Oh well. So I am down to my last row. I have the blocks roughly laid out. I'm going to go around, dig my little footer holes, and that'll be it. I hope that will be it for the majority of the digging and grunt work of this project. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in here, finish this last row to be done with said grunt work. Two more. Two more. Two more. 1, 2. Almost. Almost. All of the holes have been dug for the foundation of this workshop. Next thing I'm going to do is bring over some patio paver base. It's kind of a mixture of rock and sand, and it compacts really, really well. I'm going to put about ½ a bag apiece in every single one of these holes and then tamp it down to a level, firm base. From there, I'll put the block on. I'll make sure it is perfectly level, and then we'll build up from there, finding the lowest point possible to get level on all of these across the board. Now that all the holes are dug and prepped, backfilled, and tamped with the paver base, we can finally begin putting the blocks in the ground, leveling each one, and start to actually visually do something with this project. It's been all day just to get to this point, and visually, not a lot seems to have happened. It's the way it goes. All the hard work's down under the ground so that the stuff you see above ground doesn't fall or look wonky. I'm going to start at that corner, the one closest to the camper over there. The reason I'm starting at that corner is that's the high spot of the terrain and the ground and the lay of the land. I'm going to start there with as short a block as possible while keeping all the wood up safely away from the ground and all that stuff. And then I'll work my way across, just putting the first blocks on this row down and leveling them. I'm not going to worry about bringing them all to the same level yet. I just want to get them in line and level on the ground. After that, and I get the 4x4s put on top of them, I'll be able to see how much I need to come up and down to bring everything correct and support across the span of the beams. Once I have this first run done, I'll move across and repeat the same process. That then is going to dictate the spacing and the whole level plane of this workshop going forward. All right, daylight's burning, let's get working. As far as shims for the foundation, I used a variety of block capstones, regular 8-inch tall stones. I used 2x4s, I used 1x all treated, plus I used some shingles. In case you don't know, using shingles for shims is a really cool method because they will not rot or deteriorate, and they're perfect for allowing you to sneak up on the perfect level lines. Well, it is absolutely the end of the day, and that took all day to do. I did nothing else today other than work on the foundation, minus the one run to the hardware store to get the paver base. I've been out here since 9 o'clock this morning, and it is right now 5:30 in the evening. Whew. It's a lot of work. It is a whole lot of work. I think my back and legs are going to be feeling it as soon as I finally stop. That's why I cleaned up everything. The extra blocks, the scrap pieces of wood, all the tools, everything is cleaned up. Because I know once I sit down, I'm done for the day. Well guys, hopefully you enjoyed this first official groundbreaking of the new workshop here on our property. If you have any questions or comments, be sure and leave them for me down below. Otherwise, take care, and we'll see you guys next time on the homestead.